Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here because today we're tackling a massive challenge that honestly plagues almost every growing software team. We're talking about the sheer chaos of fragile, unmanageable front ends. So, if you're a focused learner looking to figure out how serious engineering teams build applications that actually grow instead of just collapsing under their own weight, well, you are exactly in the right place.
Have you ever found yourself in this exact situation? You're asked to change a simple, completely innocent button on a user dashboard. You update the code, it looks fantastic, you push it to production, and then bam! Suddenly, the checkout page completely crashes and literally 10 unrelated files are throwing errors. No way, right? Why does that happen? Why do simple UI updates inexplicably break everything else? It's a massive pain point. It drains developer confidence, and it slows product growth to an absolute crawl. And the answer? It really comes down to a fundamental misunderstanding of what the front end actually is today.
Okay, let's really dive into this. Because for the longest time, the front end was, frankly, treated pretty casually. It was just about making pages look good. Some simple HTML, maybe a sprinkle of CSS, while all the real heavy lifting logic lived safely back on the server. But look, that era is completely over. The front end is no longer just a presentation layer. It's a highly complex software system in its own right. And when teams underestimate that complexity and treat it casually, they end up creating incredibly fragile applications.
Just think about what a modern front end is actually responsible for. It's managing state, it's orchestrating APIs, handling authentication tokens, dealing with client-side routing, processing real-time updates, complex form validations, tracking user analytics, and oh yeah, optimizing performance across 100 different devices. Back-end developers used to joke that the front end was just about making text blue, but today, front-end engineers are orchestrating systems that are just as complex as the back-end, if not more so. Think about a corporate training dashboard. An admin is assigning courses, filtering progress, exporting data. That is serious application behavior. Managing all of that requires back-end level discipline, because without it, you're just going to end up with duplicate logic, chaotic state management, and a codebase that is practically frozen in place.
So how do we fix this? Let's get right into Section 1, Component Architecture and Design.
Scaling a front-end application really starts with establishing incredibly clean boundaries. Now, what's really interesting about this contrast is how it highlights the traps so many teams fall into. On one hand, we have the beauty of truly reusable components. They're simple, predictable, well-documented, and they do exactly one thing perfectly, like rendering a button or a text input. But on the other hand, we have the nightmare of over-abstraction. A lot of teams try to be way too clever, way too early. They end up building this generic everything dashboard widget that takes dozens of props, fetches its own data, formats states, and manages completely unrelated business rules all at once. It becomes literally impossible to test and terrifying to change. Good architecture means separating container components that handle the data from presentational components that just handle the display. You've got to keep it simple.
And to enforce that simplicity across a massive application, you absolutely need a design system. And let me be super clear about this. A design system is much, much more than just a Figma file with some pretty colors in it. It is the bridge that connects your design directly to your code. It provides shared tokens, strict accessibility rules, and baseline reusable components. Without it, your teams are inevitably going to build like 15 slightly different versions of the exact same button across the platform. That destroys visual consistency, and it grinds development to a halt. A proper design system ensures that a button on your learning portal feels exactly the same as a button on the admin dashboard.
Once your components are organized, you've got to connect them to your data. Let's pivot to Section 2, Managing State and APIs. This right here is the plumbing and the wiring of your entire application. Now, state is simply data that changes over time, right? But a massive scaling mistake is mixing up the two distinct types of state. First, you have server state. Things like a list of courses, learner progress, notifications. That data fundamentally lives on the back end, which means the front end has to worry about caching, loading statuses, and dealing with stale data. Then you have client state. These are things entirely controlled by the browser, like whether a modal is currently open, if a local filter is applied, or a form draft you're typing out. If you try to manage server state using basic local UI tools, you are going to create massive, massive bugs. You really must use dedicated server state libraries to handle the heavy lifting of fetching and caching.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why. Look at the messy fetching approach. You have random components manually calling APIs directly. One component uses fetch, another uses Axios, a third one literally just hard codes the URL. The result? totally inconsistent error handling, and an absolute security nightmare for your authentication tokens. Contrast that with an API client layer. By creating centralized services like a course API or a user API, your UI components just call simple application hooks. If your auth header logic needs to change, you update it in exactly one place, not scattered across 50 different files.
Let's shift gears now from the developer experience over to the user experience. In Section 3, User Experience and Performance.
Because ultimately, all of this rigorous under-the-hood architecture directly impacts the person sitting on the other side of the screen. And I want to give you a very stark warning here. It only takes one mistake to completely ruin your application's performance. Just one. One massive, unoptimized JavaScript bundle. Maybe you accidentally imported a giant charting library when you only needed one tiny function from it, and boom, you completely freeze the user's browser. Even if your backend APIs are lightning fast and returning data in a millisecond, a heavy, bloated front end is going to make your entire application feel incredibly slow and unresponsive.
To protect against that, serious engineering teams use a very concrete set of optimization techniques. You've got to use code splitting and lazy loading so you aren't sending the entire application down to the browser all at once. You use tree shaking to strip out unused code. And a really big one, virtualized lists. If you've got a massive corporate report table with 10,000 rows, trying to render all of them at once will absolutely crash the browser. Virtualization ensures you only render the 10 or 20 rows the user can actually see on their screen right at that moment. Performance has to be measured and managed intentionally, not just guessed at.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that high performance and great architecture mean literally nothing if people actually can't use your application. Accessibility is not just some nice-to-have feature you tack on at the end. It is not optional. It's a fundamental part of software quality, inclusion, and frankly, legal compliance. Semantic HTML, keyboard navigation, screen reader support, these things have to be built directly into your base components. Think about it. If your shared button component isn't accessible, then every single screen in your entire application instantly inherits that exact same accessibility failure.
Which brings us right to our final architectural pillar, Section 4, Scaling with Reliability.
This is your safety net, right? It's the testing, the observability, the security, everything required to catch errors before your users ever see them. Let's move to the testing pyramid and see how this builds. Notice the progression here. We start at the bottom with super fast unit tests for our logic. Then component tests to make sure our UI renders correctly in isolation. Stepping up, we have integration tests to ensure these different pieces actually talk to each other correctly. And finally, right at the top, end-to-end tests validating the full user journey. A massive mistake teams make is relying solely on those end-to-end tests. While they are useful, they are notoriously slow and super fragile. A truly scalable strategy relies heavily on those bottom three layers to give teams the confidence to refactor code and release updates quickly.
Now, when we talk about reliability, we have to talk about security. And I need to deliver a very firm, concrete rule right now. Never put secrets in front-end code. Remember, the user's browser is fundamentally an untrusted environment. Users can inspect your code, they can view local storage, they can modify network requests at will. If you embed API keys in your front-end bundle, they're literally visible to the entire world. You have to design your application knowing that real, robust authorization can only ever be enforced by the backend.
And because we don't control the user's browser or their device, we absolutely must have front-end observability. It's just not enough to check your back-end monitoring to see if your APIs are up. Your APIs could be fine, but your users might still be experiencing a totally broken front end. You need to track real JavaScript errors happening in the wild. You need to be measuring core web vitals, like largest contentful paint, interaction in XPaint, and cumulative layout shift. These metrics tell you exactly how fast and stable the page actually feels to a human being. This observability connects your engineering work directly to the real user experience.
To make all of this incredibly concrete, let's look at how this comes together in a modular architecture. Something like what you'd see in a complex learning platform. You wouldn't just throw all this code into one giant messy folder. You separate it out by distinct domains. You've got your public course catalog, your learner dashboard, your payment checkout, your corporate admin portal. And each of these distinct domains sits right on top of a shared design system layer. This modular approach is exactly what allows the application to handle massive complexity without collapsing into a tangled mess. As we bring this all together, I really want to leave you with the core thesis of this entire explainer. Scale isn't about the framework. It really is about disciplined architecture. You can use React, Vue, Angular, Svelte. Honestly, it doesn't matter, because if you don't build clear components, if you don't intentionally manage your state, centralize your APIs, and actively monitor the real user experience, your application is eventually going to freeze up and fail. Structure always beats trendy tools. So, I want to leave you with this provocative final question to take back to your own projects. Is your front end currently built to scale, or is it secretly built to collapse the exact moment you try to add your next big feature? Take a hard look at your code base, start applying these architectural pillars, and really take control of your front end. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I can't wait to explore more system architecture with you all very soon.